एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट। गनर शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम एक इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करने वाले हैं, डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। वो है चाइना कॉग्निटिव वॉर ऑन ताइवान ड्यूरिंग इलेक्शंस, क्योंकि वहां प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शंस हाल ही में होने वाले हैं 13 जनवरी। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। So to discuss all this, I have with me Namrata Hasija. Namrata, good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. बहुत दिन के बाद आपको we are talking and it's so nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Good
Right.
evening, sir. It's always nice to be back here where we actually do a lot of serious discussion and we get into the nitty-gritties of things. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and सबसे पहले मैं बताना चाहता हूँ why do I call Namrata Hasija over? Namrata Hasija is a young researcher on China and Taiwan. And I think जो मैंने देखा आज तक, she's one of the most sharpest minds who's got tremendous grip on what happens in Taiwan. And Taiwan जो है हमारे लिए, जैसे सबको पता है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि ताइवान एंड चाइना, ऑफ कोर्स हमें सबको पता है कि चाइना इज ट्राइंग टू एनेक्स ताइवान मिलिटरीली या पॉलिटिकली। ठीक। और अगर ताइवान गिर गया तो दुनिया में बहुत जियोपॉलिटिक्स बदली हो जाएंगे। राइट। और शी जिनपिंग का ये दिस इज हिज मेन प्लैंक, रिजुविनेशन ऑफ द चाइनीज नेशन। और उसमें ताइवान इज द रिजुविनेशन। ताइवान को पकड़ना रिजुविनेशन है। और ताइवान को पकड़ने का तरीका थ्रू इलेक्शंस, पॉलिटिकली। क्योंकि लड़ाई करने से क्या है, वो हार जीत सकता है या हार सकता है, पर पॉलिटिकली करने से आसान है। और दाम भी कम है। द कॉस्ट ऑफ यू नो subterfuging elections is easier, and that's important. And ताइवान में जो प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शंस हो रहे हैं, वो अभी हाल ही में सेकेंड वीक ऑफ जनवरी में होने वाला है। और उस इलेक्शंस में चाइना हैज ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड इंटरफियरिंग। इनफैक्ट, as I said in my opening thing, there's a cognitive warfare as per a plan going on against Taiwan. तो आज का जो हम चर्चा करेंगे वो दो हिस्से में होगा। पहले हम समझेंगे कि ताइवान का इलेक्शंस के बारे में क्या है, कौन से पार्टी हैं, इनके क्या क्या मुद्दे हैं, व्हाट प्लान्स, व्हाट आर द परिणाम क्या होंगे अगर कोई एक जीत गया हो। राइट। उसके बाद देखेंगे कि हाउ इज चाइना कैरिंग आउट कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर ऑन ताइवान टू इम्प्रेस एंड मेडल विद द इलेक्शंस। राइट। दोनों इंपॉर्टेंट हैं। और इसके बारे में हमें हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए नम्रता है। नम्रता, ओवर टू यू, ऑल योर्स। First, explain what is the whole background and the elections, then we'll go step by step on the cognitive warfare part.
Thank you, sir. See, should I just start with kind of the background of the parties,
Yeah,
the
give a
candidates?
background. Yeah,
Okay.
वो बताना जरूरी है, क्योंकि बहुत लोगों को ये नहीं पता कि कितने कैंडिडेट हैं, कौन है,
Hmm.
उनका क्या पॉलिटिकल लीनिंग है, उनका क्या जियोपॉलिटिकल लीनिंग है। वो तो थोड़ा बताने से फिर यू दे विल गेट अ क्लियर आइडिया अबाउट डीपीपी, केएमटी, टीपीपी। आप जरा बताइए।
So basically, see, it's I'll just start before like when Chiang Kai-shek came from mainland to Taiwan. So before that, of course, there was a period when it was colonized by the Japanese for 50 years, and then there was a period for 2-3 years when Chiang Kai-shek from mainland China, was kind of ruling Taiwan, where he also did the crackdown on the Taiwan democratic movement, which is actually called the White Terror there. And so very few people who actually study Taiwan know that this is also a period when Chiang Kai-shek actually attacked the democratic movement that was shaping up in Taiwan when he was actually in mainland China. And when he finally, of course, landed in Taiwan, then for many, many years, even Taiwan, had dictatorship, right? So it was just KMT. That was the ruling party, and it was Chiang Kai-shek and then his son, of course, that ruled Taiwan. Now, during the 80s, this democratic movement again, started reigniting. Of course, it was all undercurrents were already there, and then you see that how finally KMT kind of gave away that power, and there were elections, and there were democratic elections, and how then they started electing their president. So in the beginning, of course, there was, like I said, KMT, and when the democratic movement started, and when the first presidential elections took place, there was the KMT and DPP. So there were two parties, main parties. Now, KMT, of course, is the Comintang party, which at one point of time was founded by Dr. Sun Yat-sen. And then when the Republic of China was established first in mainland China in 1911, that is the time when they had power. So when he came to Taiwan, then KMT ruled. So there were two parties. Now one is KMT, that is the Comintang party, and one is the DPP, which is a Democratic Progressive Party, which is pro democracy. Which the main thing was, it is called the Green Party, and KMT is the Blue Party. So people ask you, are you blue or are you green? So are you pro unification or are you pro independence? So that is, and even in green um, and blue, there is one light blue, there's dark blue. So green, dark green means you want Taiwan as an independent country. Light green is like status quo is okay. So neither you declare your independence, nor you kind of your pro reunification. So these were the two main parties. Now over the years, of course, there are, because it's a democracy, there are many parties. So but basically, if we kind of see, the umbrella is that it's either blue or green. But of late, I mean, few years, from many years now, there's another party which is TPP, and which is called the White Party. So now there is blue, green, and white. Now people, of course, have their own interpretations, or how these parties are or what, but I've told you what KMT is, what DPP is. Now TPP is white because it's kind of, like, I would say, somewhere in between. That is what they claim. So they are not very pro unification, but they are also not pro independence. So that's the White Party. So right now there are three major parties, and this election is also between these three major parties. Now, from the DPP, which is now the ruling party of President Tsai Ing-wen, she is not going to fight elections this time. So the candidate from DPP is Dr. William Lai. Now, Dr. William Lai is 63 years old. Like I said, his political party is DPP. He's currently the vice president of ROC, and he's also been a premier in Madam Tsai Ing-wen's government from 2017 to 2019, and he was also the mayor of Tainan. Tainan is in the south of Taiwan, southern part of Taiwan. So he was also a mayor from there, and he's also been a member of the Legislative Yuan. And professionally, by profession, he's a doctor. So he's the first candidate from he's a candidate from DPP. Now the second person is Mr. Ho. Now Mr. Ho is from KMT, and he's 67 years old, and KMT is like the largest opposition party right now. Okay, and then he was also the mayor of the New Taipei city. He was the deputy mayor also of New Taipei city. He is also the president of. He was also he retired. He was a policeman basically by profession. So he retired from. He was the president of the Central Police University from 2008 to 2010. He was also the director general of the National Police Agency from 2006 to 2008. This is the second candidate who is from KMT, and he's a policeman. So the first one is doctor, he's a policeman. Now comes the TPP party. So his candidate, their candidate is Mr. Ko Wan-che. Now he is a 64-year-old politician. His political party is Taiwan's People's Party. Like I said, it was only a few years back that it was founded, and this party was actually founded in 2019. So it's a very young party, but I would say that in these few years they have actually come up well. And he, the person I just said, Ko Wan-jae, he's actually the one of the he's the founder of this party. He's also been the mayor of Taipei, and he's a former doctor at from the National Taiwan University Hospital, which is the most reputed hospital in Taiwan, the whole of Taiwan. So he's a former doctor. He was also a former professor at College of Medicine, National Taiwan University, same. So people who actually graduate from National Taiwan University, NTU, which is called, or NCCU, the second one, which is the National Chengchi University. So most of the diplomats you will see is actually from NCCU, because that's the political university, which is very famous for their international relations and political science department. And Taiwan, National Taiwan University is for engineers and doctors. So it's the most prestigious university. So, like, these are the three candidates, and this is the background. Now, what happened was, in the beginning, these three candidates were fighting for the elections. Then um, Terry Ko also decided that he is going to fight elections. Of course, he owns the Foxconn company, everybody knows. And but see, this is Foxconn is he's a businessman, okay, and he's someone who's also been he has very close relationship with the Communist Party of China. He also has close relations with uh, business houses in the US. So it's like he's a businessman, and his ideas are, of course, not pro DPP, so not pro independence. He's someone like that. Now, in between, what happened, KMT and the White Party, that's TPP, they realized that the DPP is actually having a lead. So these two parties try to unite. जैसे we have जैसे हमारे यहाँ अभी कोलिजन चल रहा है, इंडिया ब्लॉक चल रहा है, कि हम सब इकट्ठे होके बीजेपी के अगेंस्ट we'll fight the elections. यहाँ पे भी ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ. तो इन दोनों ने डिसाइड किया कि हम मिलेंगे और हम दोनों एक इकट्ठा यूनाइटेड फ्रंट बनाएंगे, ताकि हम डीपीपी को एक अच्छी कंपटीशन दे पाए. और जो हमारे वोटर्स हैं, बेसिकली पीपल who want status quo, और people who want reunification, मतलब उस तरीके के जो लोग हैं, उनके वोट्स डिवाइड ना हो जाए. Because right now few of them will vote for KMT, few will vote for TPP. So they wanted कि हम इकट्ठे होके लड़ें, ताकि डीपीपी को एक टफ फाइट दे सके, ताकि हमारे कुछ चांसेस हो. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली, अगर जो भी लोग ताइवान इलेक्शंस फॉलो कर रहे हैं, बहुत इट वाज वेरी ड्रामेटिक. जैसे हमारे इलेक्शंस होते हैं, वैसे ही बहुत ड्रामा हुआ. And they decided they had a meeting in Hyatt hotel. So someone was saying, you didn't book a good room for me, you didn't give me good food, and both of them had a fallout. So they could not actually unite to form a coalition, like an uh, united opposition. Yeah, so united opposition, they could not so they had a fallout. And Terry Ko also withdrew from the presidential elections. Now, few people say he did it because the Chinese wanted him, so that the votes don't get divided. But there are different opinions. So it's all very speculative. So now the thing is, again, these are the three candidates. For now, according to the surveys and everything, DPP has a slight edge. There was a time, I think, 2 weeks back, when DPP and KMT candidates were like neck to neck in the popularity votes. So if you actually talk to Taiwanese, or when I take their opinion, they feel that anyone can win. Mostly the fight is between the KMT candidate and DPP candidate. But few of them also say that there are good chances of DPP winning, because we are going to talk about the cognitive warfare. So maybe then I'll discuss why they feel that sometimes more the Chinese are trying to interfere or influence the elections, DPP is actually getting stronger, because people are kind of, understanding now, because they've also seen, because I'll very briefly I'll tell you, because I was very fortunate this time. Of course, I'm not there, but was very fortunate when my President Tsai Ing-wen won for the first time. That's 2015. So I was in Taiwan from 2014 to 15. Then the second time also, before the elections, I was there. 2019, when the campaigning was going on, I was in Taiwan. So I have actually seen, when the Chinese, because 2014 also, mainland China actually, tried to tighten the screws on Hong Kong. There were huge demonstrations, and there were huge demonstrations in Taiwan also. I could see in my own university, NCCU, like I said, their political science department is very strong. So I was studying there. I saw how students were demonstrating, and now the teachers that would always shy away from talking on all this politics with me, they started engaging with me, and they said, we don't want to be like Hong Kong. China is doing all this to Hong Kong, and they can do the same thing to us. So I have seen that switch in 2014 also. I've seen how the younger generation, and this class maybe, uh, who were like aware of all these things, I saw them change, and I saw that thing, in their minds change, how more the Chinese would put pressure on Hong Kong, more these people will actually wean away from KMT. And the same thing happened in 2019 when there were huge demonstrations in Hong Kong. I saw like my university was so it was full of posters, free Tibet, free Hong Kong, and it was like, today it's Hong Kong, tomorrow it is Taiwan. I saw all the students getting into it, involved in it. And there's a democracy Liberty Square that they call in front of Chiang Kai-shek. There's a big space now. They have renamed it as Liberty or Democracy Square. I saw demonstrations there, and that actually kind of, President Tsai Ing-wen's popularity was really down, and within days it shot up when these Hong Kong crisis happened. So I've seen that effect on the elections, that the Chinese actually sometimes they feel that they can, uh, they are kind of trying to buy this, showing that what they're doing to Hong Kong and everything. I have seen that in Taiwan it's had a very different impact. I've seen people saying to me very directly that we will vote for DPP because of this, because we do not want KMT, which is, according to them, a reunification, pro unification, or maybe a pro China, PRC party. So in short, this is what's happening now.
Yeah, that I just want to add a few issues to what you have said. Now, what Namrata has said is very clear. DPP is a party which is, you know, the Chinese call it pro-separation. It's a separatist party, and William Lai is supposed to be a absolute separatist kind of a person, right? We'll talk about it a little later. Kuo, who's the KMT, Kuomintang, this thing, he's not for unification, but he is for some kind of a status quo. Even KMT doesn't want to join with China, but China feels they can get around KMT. The third party, TPP, from what I have read, is neither here nor there. They for our security they look toward they're looking towards USA, and for trade they want to be with China. So it is in between. Okay. Now having said this, we have to understand चाइना क्यों कर रहा है ये सब कुछ, क्यों कॉग्निटिव वॉर पे चढ़ा हुआ है. ठीक है, आपको मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि 2020 में जैसे इन्होंने बताया 19-20 में, उस वक्त भी इन्होंने कॉग्निटिव वॉर किया था, और उन्होंने एक बहुत बड़ा अभियान शुरू किया था. इसमें देखिए, ये एक रिपोर्ट है, डबल थिंग्स करके एक रिपोर्ट है. उसमें इन्होंने ये पिक्चर दिखाया और बताया क्या क्या इस्तेमाल होता है. यहाँ देखिए, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिक्योरिटी, इनका पीएलए, राइट, कम्युनिस्ट यूथ लीग, यूपीएफडी यानी कि इनका यूनाइटेड वर्क्स फ्रंट डिपार्टमेंट, यूनाइटेड फ्रंट वर्क्स डिपार्टमेंट, ठीक, उसके बाद ताइवान अफेयर्स ऑफिस, ये सब इन्होंने चालू किया. और उसके बाद ट्रॉल्स, बॉट्स, वाइबो, सब सबको इन्होंने चाइना स्टार्टेड, and then they started using media, then commercial media, local newspapers, marketing groups, गैंग्स, यहाँ तक क्रिमिनल गैंग्स को भी इस्तेमाल किया, यूट्यूबर्स, टिकटॉक, पैसा, सब कुछ। हमारा जो इलेक्शंस होता है, दे पुट दीस आल्सो पीपल टू शेम। शायद हमारे इलेक्शंस में इतना चालबाजी नहीं होता जितना चाइना ने किया 2019 और 20 में। इसके बावजूद हार गए, राइट। आफ्टर डूइंग ऑल दिस, व्हाट एज ए फेसबुक, रिलीजियस ग्रुप्स, ये देखिए पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, क्रिमिनल्स, सबको इन्होंने एंड ताइवान इज अ फ्रैक्चर्ड सोसाइटी इन दोस टर्म्स। अगर आप बारीक में पढ़ोगे, यही नहीं है कि सिर्फ 3 पार्टी है, मेरे ख्याल में वहां बतेरे पार्टी और भी हैं, छोटे 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 पार्टी, और उनको भी चाइना ने इम्प्रेस किया। उसके बावजूद वो हार गए। पर दोबारा चाइना ने शुरू कर दिया कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर। वो क्यों, ये समझना इंपॉर्टेंट है। वो पिछले साल 22 अक्टूबर 22 को ये 20 पार्टी कांग्रेस हुआ था। उसमें जी जिनपिंग तीसरा टर्म, अनप्रेसिडेंटेड थर्ड टर्म ही केम इन, एंड देन ही मेड अनाउंसमेंट ऑफ रिजुविनेशन ऑफ द चाइनीज ड्रीम। ये रिजुविनेशन का मतलब क्या है? ताइवान को अनेक्स कर लो, ताइवान को कब्जा कर लो। ये हो सकता है थ्रू मिलिट्री, और ये हो सकता है नॉन मिलिट्री मेथड्स, और नॉन मिलिट्री मेथड्स में पॉलिटिकल, ये इसके थ्रू, इलेक्शंस के थ्रू। ये इंपॉर्टेंट इसीलिए है, पिछले साल और पिछले इलेक्शन शायद उतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, पर ये इलेक्शन इसीलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज जी जिनपिंग का मेन मुद्दा है ताइवान को अनेक्स करना उसके कार्यकाल में, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, अगर अभी ये हासिल नहीं कर सकता थ्रू पॉलिटिकल मेथड्स, फिर तो लड़ाई ही करना पड़ेगा। लड़ाई का आउटकम पता नहीं है, क्या चाइना तैयार है? चाइना जीत पाएगा? नहीं हो पाएगा। अगर यूएसए के साथ लड़ाई छिड़ गया तो क्या होगा? बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा। तो इसीलिए चाइना जो है, इट्स गोइंग ऑल आउट टू अंडरमाइन एंड स्विंग द पॉलिटिकल थिंग इन ताइवान। दूसरी बात, इसी के साथ साथ, अगर ये मौका छूट गया तो जी जिनपिंग को 2028 तक वेट करना पड़ेगा पॉलिटिकली टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ ताइवान। ठीक, तो तब तक शायद जी जिनपिंग रहे ना रहे, या सत्ता में रहे ना रहे, पार्टी, राइट। सो ही माइट बी इन पावर और नॉट बी इन पावर, वी डोंट नो व्हाट हैपेंस। सो ही गोइंग ऑल आउट, एंड दिस इज व्हाई, एंड व्हाट्स हिज एम, कि जो पार्टी which wins in Taiwan should be a party with which he opens political dialogue, and through political dialogue an exit. He'll use the Hong Kong model. Hong Kong में तो इनके पास मॉडल है और वो इस्तेमाल करेंगे, right? So this is the whole background in which whole thing is done. And इनका एक नंबर 3 है इनका कम्युनिस्ट सिस्टम में, वैंग ह्यूनिंग। वो वैंग ह्यूनिंग को इसको इसके लिए नियुक्त किया गया कि भाई ये आप जो भी करना है करो, और जी जिनपिंग और वैंग ह्यूनिंग ने एक प्लान बनाया, और वही कहानी एमएसएस, इनका जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ स्टेट सिक्योरिटी, यूएफपीडब्ल्यू, पीएलए, ये सबको, ताइवान अफेयर्स ऑफिस, इन सबको पकड़ के इन्होंने प्लान बनाया किस तरीके से। और इनका मानना यह है कि केएमटी जो है इज द मोस्ट इजी पार्टी जिसको ये अंडरमाइन कर सकते हैं और पॉलिटिकली बात कर सकते हैं। तो ये इनका यही है कि किस तरीके से केएमटी के कैंडिडेट को जिताया जाए और डीपीपी के कैंडिडेट जो प्रो सेपरेटिस्ट मानते हैं उसको हराया जाए। तो ये है इनका बैकग्राउंड, राइट, व्हाई दे हैव कैरिड आउट दिस कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर। इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट, एंड इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड, एक बार ताइवान के ऊपर कब्जा हो गया, फिर चाइना को नॉट ओनली इट गेट्स रिजुविनेशन का कहानी, जी जिनपिंग बड़ा शेर बन जाएगा चाइना के अंदर हिस्ट्री में, पर Chinese Navy breaks that first island chain, and it has complete control or rather reach into Pacific. वो बहुत बड़ा जीत होगा। तो ये है the stakes in this Taiwan elections are huge. इससे पहले कि हम देखें कि कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर क्या होता है, नम्रता आप बताइए, जो भी मैंने बताया उसके ऊपर कुछ ऐड करना चाहते हो तो कृपया ऐड कीजिए।
नहीं, आई थिंक जब हम कॉग्निटिव वॉरफेयर के बारे में भी बात करेंगे तो जैसे आपने वांग हुनिंग के बारे में बोला है, तो सिर्फ वांग हुनिंग ही नहीं है। वो तो अपॉइंटेड है, लेकिन साइची ऑल्सो जो पॉलिट ब्यूरो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में है, एंड ही इज वेरी क्लोज टू शी जिनपिंग. ही ऑल्सो हैज अ बैकग्राउंड ऑफ काइंड ऑफ trying to win over Taiwanese politicians. He has connections to Taiwan. His uncle uh, it was in Taiwan, of course. He also went to Taiwan to meet him, and he wrote a diary, his diary of Taiwan diaries. And of course, once he became the Politburo Standing Committee member, and in fact, before that, when he became the mayor of Beijing, then that whole diary was actually deleted from Weibo. He's an avid Weibo user, and he used to post a lot of things. So Sai Chi is also there. Wang Huning is there. And there are many CC members who have connections with Taiwan in a way that either they have tried to influence the Taiwanese politicians, but they also have been they've been playing roles to role to kind of they have a in this Taiwan issue now. Wang Huning, because you mentioned it, because Wang Huning was also someone who had presented a Taiwan plan to Hu Jintao. So he had made a plan then only to how to kind of reunify Taiwan without any military attack. And also, of course, there were many other things in that. And he actually formed a party. He also met almost 20 political leaders from Taiwan, including um, people from DPP, from KMT, and from different parties. So he actually met them. He tried to form a new political party, and one of the offices of this party was actually raided, and there they got material where they were kind of reading or preparing as to the time when actually PRC will take over Taiwan, how they are going to help them and how they are going to support this thing internally. And then Sai Chi, like I said, when he also visited Taiwan, he met many leaders, of KMT, and he also met different business people from Taiwan, and he also has that connect with Taiwan. So probably this, and because we've already covered, in fact, KMT, DPP, and what
Yeah,
the
so
White Party.
we'll move ahead. So
Yes.
first thing जो मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, दे ये जो cognitive war जो हो रहा है, वो they're in different phases. So we'll talk about each. There is a fear psychosis being built.
Yes.
There's a misinformation campaign which is being run. There are influence operations going on. There are bribes being given, open bribes. And then there is a lot of economic coercion. So each चीज हम आपको बताएंगे. आपको ये पहले दिखाएंगे ये जो फियर साइकोसिस कैसे बिल्ड हो रहा है. ये देखिए, ये एक आर्टिकल है कल साउथ चाइना मॉर्निंग पोस्ट में. इट सेज ताइवान प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन रिस्क्स वॉर. नाउ ex Beijing official says mainland steps up pressure over island. ये देखो, one thing is certain. Taiwan independence means war, and insisting on Taiwan independence will lead to war sooner or later. इसका मतलब यह है कि भाई वो जो बंदा ताइवान इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए बोल रहा है, उसको जीत जाएगा तो कल लड़ाई होगा. और तो सबके अंदर डर पैदा कर रहे हैं. वही बात ये है कि ये एक और निकी एशिया का रिपोर्ट है, कहता है ताइवान डबल्स डाउन ऑन सॉरी चाइना डबल्स डाउन ऑन ताइवान थ्रेट्स एज इलेक्शंस नियर. ठीक है. बीजिंग बैक्स ऑपोजिशन केएमटी. सो द पॉइंट बड़ा क्लियर है कि ये दे आर इंटिमिडेटिंग ताइवान एंड देयर इज अ फियर साइकोसिस बिल्ट अप. कैन यू स्पीक ऑन दैट, नम्रता, बिट?
Yes, sir. Thank you. See, that is very important, because that also they have been building up for many years. A very maybe recent example was when Pelosi visited Taiwan. So if you see that there was, of course, a lot uh, that was there on Chinese social media. Many Chinese citizens were saying, oh, we should shoot down the plane that she's coming in, blah blah. I mean, many things. But see how, because you're talking about how this psychological warfare is there now. What they did was, right after, of course, they didn't do anything when she was here. As soon as she left Taiwan, We of course know the military exercises that happened for the first time. Of course, they encircled Taiwan and they did all these military exercises. So that, of course, the demonstration you can actually see from many Matsu, Kinmen, which is so, these islands are so close to mainland China. In fact, they're closer to mainland China than Taiwan. So Matsu, Kinmen, and Penghu, and all these islands are the outlying islands. They are under ROC. They are under Taiwan, but they are Kinmen, especially, and Matsu are very close to China, PRC mainland. So many of our Indian reporters also went there. They covered how they were, the Chinese were doing exercises daily, and they were showing us, they were now. If we look at maybe the last 1 year, how many times the PLA
Air
aircrafts have actually
violations.
air
Air
violations.
violation.
Yes, that's what I mean. Every almost it's like a now a daily affair.
क्यों नहीं, ये
So
कल भी हुआ था, कल
yeah,
भी
yeah,
हुआ है,
daily affair, daily affair.
रोज,
So,
डेली
yes, yes.
अफेयर.
Yeah, it's a daily affair now. It's become a routine thing, and then of course the naval this thing also. So they are
ड्रिल्स.
this they do it and they advertise it also because, like you said, and I also like used to talk to not only this time. I'm not talking about just the students or professors or academicians, and I because I can speak Mandarin. So if I'm traveling in a taxi or I'm buying some vegetables, I would just speak to them. And so this very interesting conversation I had once with, I was in Kaohsiung. I was actually in South. I was talking to this taxi driver and I was like, who do you support? Do you support DPP? Do you support KMT? And how are you going to vote? So he said, see, I used to work in the army, he said, and I retired. After that, now I'm driving a taxi. He's like, I don't care who wins, DPP or KMT. I want food on my table. And I don't want my grandson, who's just 2 years old, to die in a war. I don't want war. I want peace for him. I want him to grow in normal circumstances. And I want him to have his 3 meals in a day. That's all. And I don't know, he was like, I don't know what this thing about DPP and KMT, why they are making it a big issue. We are such a small island. Both of them should work together for the people. And why are they antagonizing China? These were his words. Why are they antagonizing China? Then I spoke to another, he was a ferry driver, and I was just talking to him. And then he was like, we have our own currency. You have come to my country, you have taken visa to come to my country. We elect our own president. We are already independent. Why should we shout? And why should we
For
antagonize?
independence, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, so
that's a various
it's,
shades.
yes, various phases. Everybody has a different opinion, but I'm telling you, like, especially people who are middle class people, lower middle class people, or poor people, for them what is important is that they are safe, they get 3 meals a day. So they have a very different opinion, and this is also an opinion in Taiwan. It's not that everybody in Taiwan, of course, majority would, people will say the surveys are here, majority will do this or that. That's a different thing. But my point is that all this cognitive warfare, the threats, that also plays on people's mind. So
Yeah,
these people were trying to tell me was that we don't want a war, because if a war happens, we'll not get food to eat, everything will get expensive. Our grandchildren can die, our children can die, and what is the point of having a war? So in a way,
correct.
all these things also plays in the, because
In the,
they are not politicians.
yeah,
And
आम आदमी है, उनके सर पे द साइकोलॉजिकल
yes,
वॉरफेयर है. एंड जो चाइना जो मैसेज दे रहा है, व्हाट, लाइक व्हाट शी सेइंग, चाइना का जो मैसेज सबको दे रहा है कि मेक अ चॉइस बिटवीन पीस एंड वॉर. And their idea of peace is with KMT. Their idea of war is with DPP. So China's thing is very clear that they want to support KMT and against DPP, right? And like what Namrata said, this can backfire completely. It can work or it can backfire. So far it has backfired, but आगे देखेंगे क्या होगा. इसके साथ साथ नम्रता, there's lot of misinformation कि साई इंगवेन भाग जाएगा यूएस से, हमारी मदद, आपको मदद करना नहीं आएगा, राइट,
Hmm.
इलेक्शन क्यों कर रहे हो, ठीक है, ये
Yeah.
सब भी चल रहा है मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कि एवैक्यूएशन, ये कोई मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइज किया तो वो बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं नहीं ये मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइज नहीं है, ये जो डीपीपी पार्टी का एवैक्यूएशन ड्रिल है कि कैसे ये बच के निकल जाएंगे कल के दिन अगर लड़ाई हुआ तो, right?
True.
And so they're undermining the resistance of the Taiwanese people. So can
Yes.
you talk something about this kind of a misinformation campaign which is going on?
There is. Can you? Okay, wait. I will share a picture with you, sir. If
Yeah,
you can
yeah, yeah.
maybe just put it on your screen.
I I don't know whether it will come. It will not. It might not come. You
Okay.
right? Let me.
But
You put it. No, no. You put it on the other WhatsApp. मेरा जो नया दिया
I've
ना आपका
sent on
नंबर
both.
उस.
I've sent on both.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'll.
see, disinformation, misinformation is also there. Now, very latest example where India is also involved. I'll tell you. Like, you must have also, I don't know if you did a show on it. Yeah, this, sir, you have to,
Upload
something
it.
is,
Okay.
no, don't upload it. Just show it like that. I will explain. Now, this photograph was widely circulated when Pelosi visited Taiwan. So what they were trying to say that Pelosi is not doing anything, US is not doing anything, but they're only what they're doing actually is using Taiwan to break China. But if they're using Taiwan, then Taiwan will get hurt. So US will get away, Taiwan will get hurt, and they're using Taiwan to hurt the Chinese. So this, yes, sir. I think so. This
Yeah.
picture was widely circulated when Pelosi visited. So what is it in for Taiwan? The US is just using Taiwan, nothing else, and Taiwan is just a tool in US this geopolitics that US is playing. So I think the latest what we should also talk about is what happened with India Taiwan. Now I think all
हाँ वो
our
भी आ गया election. That's all I think is the
yes,
election issue.
it was linked to the elections. It was
Yeah.
linked to the elections, and so what happened was that India and Taiwan were about to sign a employment agreement where blue collared 100,000 blue collared Indians would actually go to Taiwan to work, and this was in the final stages, and it was supposed to be signed in December. It has not been signed, but it was supposed to be finalized in December. So when in Taiwan this news broke, within few days you could see that the Taiwanese social media, many of them, they started and especially initially it came from a couple of accounts. I have the data, I will also read that out. But what happened was there was a whole anti-India narrative that was built in Taiwan. So what they were saying is that Indians are uneducated. These people will come, and because India, a lot of rapes happen, so our internal security not. And the line was that forget about girls, even our boys will not be spared. So the kind of and then they called for protests from 1st to 5th December against this employment agreement, and there was a lot of misinformation, disinformation, whatever you can call, that was spread in Taiwan. And the purpose was, of course, to break this India Taiwan ties that are, actually growing. And
Growing.
yes, and sir, you know about this, that three of our retired armed forces head from Navy, Air Force, and Army, three of them went to Taiwan for a conference. And I think that, of course, and that was their first outing after retirement, visit to a foreign country. And of course, India Taiwan relations over the years, we are progressing, and I think that was something a thorn in the Chinese this thing, and
China's.
they took this opportunity, and there were videos of youngsters, very young people. I have one video, maybe sir can play it whenever he wants to. Now this young boy, what he's saying is, don't vote for DPP, because if you vote for DPP, they are going to sign this labor agreement with India, and then 100,000 Indians will come here and our security will be at danger. So they started linking it to the election. Now that is something. Initially there were a couple of reactions, outbursts from Indians at what the Taiwanese are saying or something. But when these things started happening, because all of us are watching, I also didn't make any statement or anything. I just said it's very sad if they're saying this. But we also have to understand that even if few Taiwanese who feel this about Indians, they have this perception about Indians. Again, when I was talking to a taxi driver, he said, "Oh, Indian girls are nice, but Indian boys are very bad," because he was again referring to the rape cases. Now, that's also one thing why, because you spoke about TikTok and all these apps. So Taiwanese youths are using all Chinese apps for getting their news every day. Now,
And
Chinese
through that,
apps all bad things about India. So they
mm,
try to portray that India is this unsafe place. So the Taiwanese youth, they also get this impression. But there was a data that was released by Taiwan's Ministry of Labor Facebook page in past few days, that more than 1,600 accounts that had posted three sets of the same message in a very short period of time. So they did this thing on this campaign that was happening, and there are nearly 300 accounts among them which are abnormal accounts that have never posted other articles and have no friends. So they were just posting things against India. In addition to Twitter accounts with Chinese official backgrounds also retweeted similar articles, um, questioning that after Taiwan introduces Indian workers, public security will be affected. Then Taiwan's National Security Unit questioned that this is, of course, a cognitive war launched by China taking advantage of the situation. So there might be an initial discussion in Taiwan. Now, the Chinese, of course, use this because we are talking about cognitive warfare. So this was and this is an example of cognitive warfare where they
yeah, I
use
agree with
them
you.
and they kind of, I mean, I have all the messages, I have
No, no,
few
that's okay,
videos.
fine. So
Yeah,
we'll right, that's fine.
yeah.
So that is ये एक तो ये misinformation हो रहा है. दूसरी बात है bribes. So
Yes.
they're using, bribes also. China is also using bribes to influence, Taiwanese voters. You giving free air tickets to people to go to vote and all. इसके बारे में भी थोड़ा बताइए.
So I think over the period of time, China has also realized that this young generation, especially, is uh, kind of the ones who are actually voting for DPP. So now they're trying to influence them. Now, how to influence them? Because here there's a combination of, I don't know, more than cognitive warfare. This is like an influence operation, I would say.
नहीं, वो भी
Because
ये
what?
cognitive warfare one
Yeah, yeah,
part of is influence ops.
this is
Yeah.
influence operation. But here they have actually what they've started doing is they've targeted sections of society, in the sense they started giving scholarships, good scholarships to students to come and see China and see how well the economy is going. And this narrative in the cognitive warfare, this narrative was built. And I also spoke to a few of my friends who were like businessmen or who were in this media and all. Many of the media houses, by the way, most of them Taiwanese media houses, have been bought over by the Chinese. So again, when I was in Taiwan, there was a whole campaign that was against the red media, where thousands of people again protested against this, that how the Chinese, this cognitive warfare they are doing is by they've actually bought up media houses in Taiwan. And of course, then they are every day they are publishing stories that are pro China, or what the Chinese, the narrative that the Chinese want to build in Taiwan. So now the students are getting good scholarships. Then they're also trying to influence the local leaders, you know and
Hmm.
so they have been inviting a lot of local leaders to visit China. So they're sponsoring free trips, free hospitality when they reach there, to kind of blow them away with this Chinese prosperity, so that then they go back, they tell their local people, oh, China is not that bad, China is so good, the economy is so good. If we kind of we are with China, we'll also progress. We are getting only one kind of rice. When we go to China, we'll get 10 kinds of rice. We'll, these are little things. So that is what they're trying to do. In fact, they have invited people from different sections of Taiwanese society. The same thing that actually they are doing in India also. The influence operations,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
look, it's a very thought out
structured.
strategy of the
Yeah,
Chinese.
yeah. And the last thing which I want you to do is the kind of coercion which China is doing, the tariffs which they put. There's now it's very well established. Terry Gou, who was the chairman of Foxconn, he put up his name for presidential elections. Next day there were some tariffs put against Foxconn, especially in China. और उसके बाद उसने he withdrew, and then
Hmm.
export items from Taiwan are being stopped. Now
Yes.
only because the KMT chap intervened, those export items have been let go. So people are being told, by if you elect KMT guy, exports आएंगे, नहीं तो आपके ये भी नहीं होगा. I'm sure there are many more things with the Chinese are doing. Just explain a few.
The same strategy. If you remember when Philippines kind of became very strong against China and South China Sea, they stopped because in China the tourism is also state driven. So if the government says don't travel to India, no one will travel to India. The travel agents automatically will stop giving this packages because Chinese go in huge numbers, they go in groups, and also it will stop. So in Philippines, every second or every third person is dependent on tourism that comes from mainland China. So when the Philippines stood very strongly against them in South China Sea, they tightened the screws.
Tourists.
They said nobody is going there. So then the people put pressure, the travel agencies or the tourism department put pressure on the Philippines government that please, uh, we earned because of that. Now in Taiwan also they do the same thing. So they what they do is they hit the small in Taiwan, the thing is they're not multinational
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
or these big companies. So most of them are small and medium sized business enterprises, mostly run by the families. And they also what they try to hit is the agricultural economy, which is very small and dependent because most of their produce actually goes to mainland, which is
To mainland China.
easier for them.
Oh, yeah,
So they kind of put a ban on the grouper fish. They banned pineapple. They banned Taiwan's wine. All these things. So all these things are hitting these small,
lower end. Ah,
lower
yeah.
income, like I said, middle class people. So that they do every time. Like uh, I think when I visited Taiwan in last year, they had banned grouper fish. And when I was
Okay.
about to go this time, they banned pineapple. So they keep doing it. So they'll do it. So before elections, especially, you see that they'll do it more. Or like after Pelosi's visit, they did it. So it's kind of, we'll teach you a lesson. If you vote for DPP, you will suffer like this, right? So if you go for independence, this is your fate. So it's kind of that kind of pressure that they put, and this is like a
Yeah,
very systematic thing.
yeah. So now ये है actual जो हो रहा है वहाँ. So in this kind of this thing, what should India do in your opinion? हमारा क्या रवैया होना चाहिए, हमें क्या करना चाहिए? क्योंकि एक एक तो इस इलेक्शन के प्रति हमने क्या करना है, और दूसरा हमारा भी इलेक्शन आने वाला है. ये चाइना हमारे साथ भी कुछ करेगा. तो इन दोनों के बारे में आपका क्या विचार है, ये भी बताइए जरा.
See, China is already doing, because again, I think it's very important because you're talking about cognitive war. A lot of people don't understand this, and influence operations is also part of this. In India also, I mean, I have some people will say, "अरे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है इससे, कुछ नहीं हो रहा." ऐसा नहीं होता है, फर्क पड़ता है. हाँ, 100% नहीं पड़ रहा है. 1% 2% पढ़ना भी एक डेमोक्रेसी के लिए प्रॉब्लमेटिक है, क्योंकि वो 1-2% कब 10% 15% 20% बन जाएगा, वो हमें पता भी नहीं चलेगा. तो इंडिया में भी इन्फ्लुएंस ऑपरेशन है और हर लेवल पे है. आप हमने ये बात चेन्नई में भी करी थी जब आप थे उस कॉन्फ्रेंस में. ये नहीं होता कि आप बिकॉज वहां पे डिबेट ये स्टार्ट कर दी थी उन्होंने कि अपनी गवर्नमेंट को क्रिटिसाइज करना गलत नहीं है. बिल्कुल गलत नहीं है, मैं क्रिटिसाइज कर सकती हूँ. प्रॉब्लम ये है जब मैं चाइनीज से पैसे लेके क्रिटिसाइज कर रही हूँ, प्रॉब्लम वो है.
हाँ, ये एक ये मैं बताना चाहता हूँ सबको. हम नम्रता एंड आई वेर इन अ कॉन्फ्रेंस इन चेन्नई ऑन चाइना. ठीक है. इट वाज ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय द चेन्नई सेंटर ऑफ चाइना स्टडीज. उसमें एक बहुत एक अच्छा माना हुआ पत्रकार वो आके वो बोलने लगा कि भाई देखो, हम अपना गवर्नमेंट को क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं, सब कुछ कर सकते हैं, पर वो क्रिटिसाइज हमारे गवर्नमेंट को तब कर रहा था जब चाइना से पैसा लेने के बाद, और नम्रता गॉट आफ्टर हिम, राइट? सो दैट मैन हैज इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय चाइना ऑलरेडी। ऐसे बहुत है हमारे देश के अंदर जो चाइनीज इन्फ्लुएंस के अंदर है। उसी प्रकार ताइवान में भी है। तो हमारा इलेक्शंस में जब भी आएगा, ये जरूर चाइना के हाथ होगा, इसमें दो राय नहीं होना चाहिए। आई एम श्योर यू एग्री विद मी ऑन दिस, नम्रता।
So we have to sensitize our public. The problem is we are not sensitized enough. We don't understand. Huh? So it's few people like us would understand, but I'm talking about in general. People don't understand that how it all works, what they are doing, and how the influence operations work. Because it might be very benign on on the surface level, that somebody is just coming, calling you for dinner, giving you a gift on Diwali, but at some point when it keeps happening and you start taking favors, you also have to give favors to the person. You have to return back. They also expect something. So if China is giving you a free trip to Tibet or to Xinjiang or to Beijing and putting you up in five-star hotels, they are going to expect something. So you come back and you write an article in mainstream Indian newspaper that how great China is, how what they are doing in Tibet, what they are doing in Xinjiang. Then they don't talk about the oppression these people are doing, right? This is also then influence operations, what they are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah,
So what
yeah.
Taiwan's elections, I think for India we can't do much about Taiwan elections, because I think the only thing we can do is have discussions, sensitize people, and also maybe study the cognitive warfare what they're doing on Taiwan, to kind of analyze our situation also and apply it here also, and understand, like we have discussed, whatever we have discussed, that what they're doing there they're doing here also.
They
They
can
are
do
also
it here also.
politicians.
Yeah.
A level will come when they'll influence our bureaucrats also.
No, इसमें
What
डाउट
they're
नहीं
doing
है
in
इसमें।
Nepal, what they're doing in
नो,
Nepal.
इसमें दो राय नहीं होना चाहिए। लेट मी टेल यू, आई हैड अ पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ ट्राइंग टू बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड। ओके, वो किसी और दिन बात करेंगे। आई थिंक वी हैव कवर्ड द होल थिंग, सो वील टेक अ फ्यू क्वेश्चंस इफ यू डोंट माइंड, राइट? या, so, Vishnathan, what can be the global impact of the pro-China party winning the election? I've already said what is the thing. कि वो बात करेंगे, बात करके they will politically annex the thing. So that we've already explained. Okay. Next thing is, will China put more pressure on our borders before or during the election? Rest assured, China will do everything it can to do whatever is this thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. What's your take on opinions that call for us to arm Taiwan with missiles and more, including nukes, given China helped Pakistan against us? What does average Taiwanese think of us since they are hands too? Yeah, your take.
So the first one, I don't know. That's a government
Don't
policy.
you don't leave it out. Look,
Yeah,
let me kill the first one. The first one, don't think of it, because we
yeah.
shouldn't meddle in that kind of a thing. Because Taiwan and we, the moment you do that, Taiwan will be invaded by China. You should understand that's a red line we cannot cross. So talk about the second part.
Uh, it's yeah, they are Hans. Here I think, sir, I'll also, other than this, I'll say something. See, when we talk about KMT, we all should also remember that they are someone they hate the communist. Okay, they don't love the communist. It's because of the communists that they had to leave their country and run away. All of them who came, including Chiang Kai-shek, his family, and all the millions of people who came. That is why they feel that they are, of course, they are Hans. The roots are Chinese. That you cannot deny. And most of them who were there before it also had migrated from Fujian. That is why the actual language that these people spoke was Taiwanese or Taiyu, which is a Fujian dialect. Okay. So to me, if somebody says, okay, KMT has their own version, that is where the 1992 consensus also comes. Both parties said that yes, there is one China, but they had different interpretations. So for ROC, that's Republic of China, they are the real, they say that they are the
China.
real Chinese. Okay. So this thing also I wanted to clear, because many people have this thing pro China, pro China. Please, they are not pro CCP. They are not. They don't like the communists. They hate the communists. Of course, they have that hotline with the Chinese. They can, a KMT guy would actually pick up the call and they can talk to CCP people. So that's there. What does an average Taiwanese think about? The problem is that, like us, we are not aware of Taiwan. Let's not talk about people who are listening to the show or people who are in the show or few other people. In general, if you look at the Indian population, we don't know much about Taiwan, and same Taiwanese don't know much about Indians. But like I said, the youngsters and all these people use a lot of Chinese apps. They also have a negative image about India, in the sense that it's not a safe place because of the rape cases that happen. But they love India, they love Indian food. They would stop me, when I was walking, oh, you into run, and they would be like, oh, we like this about India, we like this about India. So it's a mixed bag. And like
Yeah,
us,
that's a
they're,
normal thing. I think that
yeah, like
I
us, they're also racist, like
yeah,
complexion and all.
they're also okay. Uh, in my opinion, Taiwan is China with democracy, but their official website stand on Aksai and 11 dash line, etc., is in line with CCP. So, how do we go about it and how do we mend?
This is something that I always talk to my Taiwanese friends, and I've always been telling them that you have the same territorial claims as the PRC, and what you're doing is in return only strengthening those, claims. And the problem is, it's actually it all this is included in the Republic of China constitution. So unless they change their constitution, this will not go. Okay. So this is in their constitution and everything, so this will not go, be it DPP, be it KMT, or be it TPP, whoever comes to power, irrespective. So this, of course, I've spoken to them. In fact, I've written about them that what Taiwan should do is drop these claims. And all the original maps actually are with the ROC, they're not with PRC. The original maps that, where they laid the claims and all, are actually there. So we can only talk to them, we can only convince them, but
Yeah,
honestly, every time they say yes, 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 but that's in our constitution, we can't change our constitution. So this is a very standard line, and that is why a lot of our defense forces people are also very hesitant when they engage with Taiwan, because they say what the claims are the same of PRC and Taiwan.
yeah, I think so. Okay, so this is an interesting question. Does US also try to influence Taiwan's elections like the Chinese do?
Of course, of course, they want the DPP to win, because with their current policy, DPP is a party that fulfills all, it ticks all the boxes. So, of course, influence, yes, not maybe like the Chinese, but of course, DPP will also have their own propaganda. They are a political party, they are not saints. So, everybody does whatever they want to do for winning. And US right now, of course, is supporting the DPP, though they have had a working relationship with KMT for the longest time. It was actually the Americans who pulled them out from mainland and got them to Taiwan and supported them throughout. But now, like I said, with the current US policy on China, it's DPP that they support.
Okay, now, uh, right. This question is not for you, Namrata. I purposely put it on to give a larger message. Sir, please bring Abhijit Ayar Mitra on your show to talk about Indian Air Force preparation for war against China and its fighter capabilities against Pakistan. It would be much appreciated. Shekhar ji, मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा is a journalist. He is not an Air Force chap. अगर आपको एयरफोर्स के बारे में पता जानकारी चाहिए, एक किसी एयरफोर्स आदमी को बुला लूंगा या मैं खुद बता दूंगा, मेरे जानकारी अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा से बहुत ज्यादा है. अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा एंड ऑल जर्नलिस्ट एज अ रूल, वो वो लट्टू की तरह है, कहीं भी फिट कर लो उसको. ठीक है, कुछ भी बोल सकता है वो, मेरे को उससे कोई ये नहीं है. आई डोंट डिसरेस्पेक्ट हिम. He must be having lot of knowledge, but definitely he is not an expert on Indian Air Force preparation against China or against Pakistan. One. Number two, in gunner shot, I call experts. I call experts who know the subject, who know that area. देखो ये नम्रता हसीजा is like my daughter, एज में, बट इसका ज्ञान ज्ञान जो है ना ताइवान के बारे में, शी इट 100 times more than I. That's why I want her to speak. राइट, अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा और कोई भी जर्नलिस्ट, उसको क्या पता होगा फाइटर कैपेबिलिटी के बारे में. सो वी वांट एक्सपर्ट्स. गनर शॉट यू डोंट गेट जनरलिस्ट. ठीक, एक जनरल बहुत है, बाकी सब एक्सपर्ट्स आके बात करें तो अच्छा होगा. सो प्लीज, इफ यू वांट टू वॉच अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा और किसी प्रोग्राम में जाके देख लीजिए, यहाँ नहीं. ओके, राइट. So this is kind of how about India building maritime connection in Taiwan and dock India's survey vessel for scientific purpose, as they are doing in you know Sri Lanka. That's the thing. Let me tell you again. These are all red lines if we do it in Taiwan, because you must understand we don't have official. We have not officially recognized Taiwan to have such exchanges. जो इन्होंने बताया, हमारी जो 3 चीफ, नेवल चीफ, एयरफोर्स चीफ और आर्मी चीफ, तुरंत रिटायर होने के बाद तीनों वो गए गए 2 महीने पहले. और वही कलबली मच गया चाइना के अंदर जो इन्होंने पहले बात किया था. तो ऐसे चीजें, सबमरीन वगैरह वहां आप जाके अभी खड़ा नहीं कर सकते, वक्त नहीं आया. यूएसए खुद नहीं करता. याद रखिए, यूएसए का बेस जो है या जापान में है, या फिलीपींस में है, या गुआम में है, या मलेशिया में है, या इंडोनेशिया में है, पर ताइवान के ऊपर नहीं है. या एनी पॉइंट व्यू ऑफ योर्स ऑन दिस, नम्रता?
I don't think we should, discuss these defense cooperations. I mean, there are many defense cooperations probably that are going on. I don't think we should be discussing that. And also, what we already are part of Indo-Pacific, the Quad, and we have maritime connections with Japan, Australia, US. We are doing joint exercises, so we really don't have to specifically. We can't actually do it with Taiwan on a one-on-one basis, like
One
Sir
on
has
the
already
basis.
said. We don't have diplomatic relations, but yes, as part of Indo-Pacific or anything,
Yeah, we'll
uh,
do it.
yeah, that's different.
Okay. Right, then he says, JBJP says, Taiwan doesn't recognize Ladakh and Arunachal. Why does Bharat still have friendly leanings for Taiwan if they don't reciprocate on equally respectful terms to us? ये बात तो नम्रता जी ने अभी बताया है. ठीक है, ये हमें, ये जो बात आ रहा है खुल के, ये है कि ताइवान को इस्तेमाल करना है, हमें ताइवान के साथ दोस्ती रखना है, वो सब ठीक है. बट हमारे, वी शुड बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट डीलिंग विद ताइवान ऑल्सो. ओके, बिकॉज अनलेस दे, उनका अगर रवैया नहीं बदलता है, तो एक हद तक ही हम ताइवान के साथ जा सकते हैं, उसके आगे हम जा नहीं पाएंगे. दैट व्हाट शी आल्सो सेड वेरी क्लियरली. ओके, then okay, he's more of a statement, Saima. He says engaging both PRC and USA side by side for the next 10 to 12 years will be essential for India. Taiwan is not a friend except Japan, no one in East Asia. So, any your view of it, about it, you can tell. Otherwise, he's just made a statement. That's his statement. That's his view. So, do
I
not
don't
necessarily agree with it.
I don't think we have to engage with PRC. I mean, what's
PRC.
the point of engaging with PRC if whatever they're doing at the borders? I don't think it's essential for us to engage because that is what they want. Keep us engaged and keep doing what they want to. US, of course,
Yeah.
is an important partner now with the Ukraine war and how Russia is, of course, being will not be able to, supply our military hardware needs. We need a reliable partner, and the Western technology that is good for us. If we are getting from the US, what's the harm in engaging with the US? But it should just be a strategic partner. I don't talk about being an ally or something. Yes, we can engage with them. Taiwan can be a friend. Why not? They are
Yeah.
someone who's been dealing with PRC for such a long time. If we can learn from them, if we can learn Mandarin, we can have other things, other exchanges with them. Why not? Yes, Japan has is India's friend, that's without a doubt.
देखो, एक one major thing I must tell everyone who's listening to this. India is rising, and I'm going to talk of it in days to come. And right, but in our rise, USA and the West is comfortable with our rise. The China is not comfortable with our rise. China will put all barriers to our rise. So in that kind of a scenario, there's no way of engaging with PRC, right? Whatever PRC is doing is to undermine your rise. इसका मतलब ये है कि आप अपना दुश्मन के साथ बात करना चाहते हो जो हमारा गला काटने के चक्कर में है। अभी इन्होंने बताया कि किस तरीके से वो हमारे ऊपर इन्फ्लुएंस ऑप्स कर रहे हैं ताकि हम गलत आदमी को वोट करें, गलत चीजें हम करें और गलत निर्णय लें हम। तो उस आदमी के साथ आप बात कैसे कर सकते हो? हमने अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी साहब ने उनके साथ बातचीत करके वो मेमोरेंडम ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग साइन किया था। उसके बाद हम भुगत रहे हैं, क्या भुगत भुगत रहे हैं? 2020 में उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर आक्रमण किया। So we should be very careful with whom we talk and we don't talk. And India should be very clear as to what we are. Japan, I have no doubt. Taiwan is a friend, right? To a limit. After that, Taiwan is also not a friend. It is just this thing. But Vietnam is a friend. Okay. And we and India has a policy of not having any alliances. और ये policy बदली नहीं होगा, which I want to put across to you. Okay, right. Then here, Hiranmai, sir, is there any possibility to have a reasonable leader such as Deng Xiaoping? Okay, he to allow us access to Mansarovar. I don't think that season has
Mhm.
gone forever. ठीक है, डेंग जियाओपिंग मर गया और उसके साथ उसके आइडियाज भी गए। ये जी जिनपिंग बिल्कुल उसके विपरीत है और ये इंडिया को मारने के लिए तुला है। हमें बड़ा क्लियर होना चाहिए, ये आपको अलाउ नहीं करेगा। सो डोंट हैव एनी होप्स ऑन दैट। ओके, अभिजीत मित्रा, अग्निपथ to downsize army to okay, fine, that's okay. Right. Next is that we should avoid going to others' wars like Germany under UN mandate. It is okay. We have enough with 2.5 wars for the next 30 years. Look, everyone talks of 2.5 wars. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this concept of that we have a 2.5 front war. One chief of army staff said this 10 years back, but I think things are changing and we are no more in that kind of a scenario. Okay, right. Uh, his question is China does directly, USA does things indirectly. Yes, we agree with you completely. That's how life is. Don't expect anything direct and don't expect, many things will come indirect. And incidentally, we also do the same thing. आप याद रखो, देखिए आज के दिन इंडिया का काफी पकड़ है ऑन यूएस पॉलिटिक्स। बोलना मत, वो जितने वहाँ इंडियन ओरिजिन के लोग आ रहे हैं उनके थ्रू कुछ ना कुछ तो होता ही है। और उसी तरीके से अगर आप सोचते हो कि हम चाइना के लिए कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं। जो भी हम पहल ताइवान के साथ कर रहे हैं वो चाइना को चुभ रहा है। जो भी पहल हम फिलीपींस के साथ कर रहे हैं या जापान के साथ कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, उनको चुभ रहा है। सो वी ऑल्सो डू द सेम थिंग इन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस। लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स आर डायरेक्ट, but many more things are indirect. In fact, most of the things are indirect. Okay, right. So I think we have covered most of the thing. Uh, Saikat Ghoshal, Russian, right? Okay. Thanks, JP. I'll do that. The last question is, what about Russian influence in India? We'll talk of Russian influence in India when we talk of Russia and India. अभी आज तो हम ताइवान के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? So I think we've done the whole thing. Namrata, your last words, and then we'll call it a day.
No, I think I just want to say something that everybody feels this, but right now, under Xi Jinping's China, I don't really think it matters who comes to power, DPP or KMT, because initially they're trying to give this impression that if KMT comes, things will be okay, you don't bring DPP. But he's formulated, his ideas. He knows what he wants to do with Taiwan, his 19th Party Congress, 20th Party Congress, the vision that he has given, and the recent statements, the discussions in China. So I feel maybe it will be what everybody's saying, cross strait. I think it will be tense. It will remain tense, and the main reason for it to be tense is not DPP or KMT. The reason is the China US relation. I think that's going to
Yeah,
play a major role. That's going to influence what kind of cross strait relations we'll see. So I think that's what I feel. I feel it now. There is a very thin line, if you can say, this DPP and KMT thing, because it has always been, of course, China. Now, so even more, the kind of tense relationship that are between China and US, the cross-strait relation will also remain tensed,
yeah. एक small
irrespective, even
point
if
है.
KMT comes.
Yeah, they will not change. It will not change at all. One small point which I omitted, or rather मैं भूल गया था. ताइवान में प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन ही नहीं हो रहा है, उनका असेंबली इलेक्शन भी हो रहा है, जिस जो भी बोलते हैं उनको असेंबली को, और उसमें भी दरार है, राइट. तो सो यू नो they are also not clear which party will win the assembly elections. So we might have a strong president and a weak party, or a weak party and a weak, a strong party might come up with a weak president. So it could be the other way around also. In which case, Taiwan will hesitate quite a bit to go towards China. No one can go towards China. There are a lot of other implications. So let us see how it goes. So the last question, not last question, there's a last comment for you. Hasija ji, did you teach Punjabi to Taiwanese?
Hindi.
Hindi. Hindi is more important. That's a nice one. Okay. I think Namrata, I think you did a fantastic job in the
Thank
way
you,
you
sir.
explained the internals of Taiwan. हम तो सिर्फ पढ़ते हैं और लिखते हैं और बात करते हैं, but you have given us the interview, which I think all those people who are attending this would have benefited. So all of you who are attending this, evening program, please give it to your friends, because what you have got today is a in-depth interview or in-depth knowledge about, Taiwan, which is very important to us dealing with China. It is very important to us for our rise as a nation and many things. देखिए पाकिस्तान के बारे में ना हर दूसरा दिन हर दूसरा गली का कुत्ता भी बात करता है. वो भी भौंकेगा तो पाकिस्तान में सुनाई देगा, और वहां से कोई गली वहां का गली का कुत्ता बात करेगा तो यहाँ भी सुनाई देता है. पाकिस्तान के साथ ये ज्यादा नहीं है. ये जो भी वेस्ट एशिया वगैरह में हो रहा है वो तो होता रहेगा, बट दिस इज समथिंग विच वी नीड टू नो. This is where our future is. This is where our future problems are. This is where our future solutions are. Knowledge about China in India is very weak. Like someone rightly said, the response to this, अगर मैं चाइना के बारे में अगर पाकिस्तान के इलेक्शन के बारे में बात करता, आज के दिन यहाँ व्यूअरशिप जो है ना 10 गुना होता. ठीक है, क्योंकि वी हैव कंफर्ट इन नोइंग अबाउट इमरान खान एंड नवाज शरीफ एंड भुट्टो. ये सब जानते हैं हम. एक तरीके से ये हमारा बिरादरी में है. ठीक है, वो बिरादरी अलग बिरादरी है, बट है तो हमारा ये टाइप है, पर ये अलग है. ये ताइवान चाइना वगैरह अलग है. इसके बारे में जानकारी हासिल करना इज very important for us. That is why I get all these people who, like Namrata, who have immense knowledge about those areas. Anyway, thanks a lot, Namrata. So nice. And we will get back once the elections are over. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
for having
evening
me.
and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.